Hello everybody, this is Shifty. I am doing the Shifty's FPVODs. This is a game I'm playing today. I am planning to make 2 or 3. I already have 2. This is my first, and I have another one already that I'm going to cast soon. I don't know if I'm going to make any more. It depends on whether I get more replays from everybody, whether people want me to cast their games. That would help a lot. If so, then that would definitely make me I would be a lot more inclined to do it, and I would enjoy doing it very much. So anyways, I am playing a TVT on Steps of War, and I've noticed that a lot of TVTs, there's been a lot of TVTs recently, and I don't know what's up with it. I think maybe just in Diamond League higher level people, there's a lot more of it. I'm not sure, but the few matchups I played recently, a lot of TVTs. Barely seen any Zergs. That's very interesting. Maybe this is what people have been talking about, where they say, the races are kind of stacked, where you always see so many Terrans, bunch of Protoss, and not nearly enough Zerg. I've read forums about that everywhere, and I mean, I don't know if that is the case, but it seems to be the case now, because my matchups, I rarely get a Zerg. If I get a Zerg, I mean, he has to be pretty good. So I'm not too sure what is happening. Anyways, I have a matchup of a Zerg. I might do a post-game, as in watching the replay and show you guys. Or maybe I could use that tutorial to show you guys how to utilize micro and macro. I'm not too sure. I have got some requests about that. I will see. So anyways, I'm doing a normal build against Terran. There's 2 paths you can go. On a small path like Steps of War, I definitely recommend going for Bio, like Marauders. Bulk of the army should be Marauders. But for other maps like it seems that on Scrap Station, almost always, whenever I play TVT, it always transforms to a mech build. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. I sniped that little SCV right there. Very bad control by the other player. It's a big mistake for him. He definitely should be pulling that off when it has around 15 HP, because it takes a little bit of a delay for the SCV to come off after you press Halt. Anyways, I already did a little bit of harass. He is down 1 SCV, so that's 5 minerals and boss mining time every once in a while. He is scouting me, so I didn't want to throw down a second barracks, but that is my plan. Throw down 2 barracks with tech labs and pump out a bunch of Marauders. And with the Marauders, just set up my expansion and then move in, because Marauders are just so effective against tanks, because that is a common build that Terrans like to go for. But if someone gets mass Marauders, it is very, very difficult to counter. So let's get I throw down my second barracks now, and he has not thrown down his second barracks, nor has he done anything. So I'm a little surprised by this, because I keep scanning around his base. I want to run out with my SCV. Oh, and he is shooting me, and my SCV stops. What? So that was a little weird. I was very surprised that my SCV just kind of stopped moving, but I was also surprised he didn't throw down any more buildings, because generally you're able to throw down a factory or a barracks or engineering bay, whatever, floats your boat, as soon as you can, after maybe get your reactor up. So I was surprised he was holding that delay. He must be doing something a little sketchy. Anyways, I must say this game was very, very intense. This is a very intense game. I definitely recommend you guys watch these FPVODs. They show you a demonstration of in-game how I play, and how it shows a demonstration of everything I put up on my tutorials and my beginners guide to StarCraft, and everything there. It's just a culmination of all those things that I say put into action, so you can get a first-hand view of how this is done. Anyways, just going to be constantly getting up my production. I get a factory because I'm going to use the factory to float as sort of like a scout building, because more importantly, I want to get a starport and get up some medevacs. Medevacs are just so good for doing some dropping and harassing. The only counter to it is if the opponent does get Vikings, it is going to be a really big hassle, but if he does go for Vikings, it's investment that I am willing to trade off, because if I see that he is getting Vikings, what I will do is just go for all Marauders and push in, because he is spending a lot of resources on Marauders instead of anything else. So not much is happening. Let me check the time. There is around 4:47. Okay, whatever. I hope this audio is in sync. It should be in sync. So maybe off by a second, but that is the most it should be. Anyways, he moves in right now with his Marauder, and Marine army, and you gotta focus fire with your Marauders against his Marauders, because if you attack the Marines, then you know that is what the player wants you to do. He wants you, the Marines, to absorb the damage from the Marauders, because Marauders do the bulk of the damage against armored units. So when you focus down the armored Marauders, the Marines can easily be cleaned up by your Marauders. So just be sure to focus fire and be conscious of it, and always be switching back to your army and your base every like few seconds. Someone did ask me how to increase APM and how to be a little more macro minded and micro as well as micro minded in mid game and late game. And what I recommended was, and I think this is pretty good, I recommend you set a stopwatch or an alarm clock and set it for every 15 or 30 seconds, and just have it go off the alarm every when it gets to that time. And when it does, and every time the alarm goes off, don't just have it on repeat every 15 or 30 seconds, and just switch back to your base and then build more units. And once once you're finished with that, go back to your army, and then it beats again, and go back to your base and finish and continue production, because most units take around 25 to 30 seconds to build. So if you set like a 25 seconds alarm clock or a 30-second alarm clock, that would be fantastic. So that would work. Right now I have him contained in his base. I am a little worried that if he does move out, he might have more units than me, but what I am not worried about is the fact that I am able to utilize that choke that he has. So if he does decide to move out, I can just try to trap him in his choke without him moving, without him using all his units to attack. But I am getting a little worried, so I do pull back, and at the same time I do set up my expansion. So since I am going to be getting up the economic lead, I just want to be sure to maintain it. And when you have an economic lead in any game, it is your game to win. So all you have to do is just maintain your economic advantage, build up your army, and that is it. The other opponent is the one who has to do something about the economic advantage, or the economic disadvantage they have. They have to even the playing ground, so all you have to do is just keep the status quo and not make it change. So you can just defend and you'll be fine. And that is exactly what I'm doing. It is definitely very important to keep that in mind, because sometimes when you have like an economic lead, you might think, oh, you know, I'll just go and attack him because I have such a large army or something. But that often could come back and backfire, because when the other opponent realizes that he has a disadvantage, what he'll do to even the playing ground is he will invest more in army to take down your economic advantage while sacrificing his own, so make it on an even ground. I mean, I hope that is easy enough to understand. I definitely understand. So anyways, this expansion is up, and I lift my command center because I kind of expected an attack. I saw him move out with my floating factory, so I expected him to move out, but now I realize he is probably not, because he is slowing down his expansion. And so I'm just going to snipe this tank over here. I do have stim research. Stim and Marauders are just so good, so darn good. And right now I am just going to go and damage his economy as much as I can. Take out 2 SCVs, 3 SCVs, take out the mule most importantly. The mule alone costs, you know, it doesn't cost anything, but is worth quite a lot of money. And so I'll just continue my production. I am gonna get away with this medevac. And yes, thank you Marauder for slowing that one Marine down before it sniped that medevac. Medevacs are very good. You want to keep as many of them as you can. So right now I did do a bunch of damage to its economy, and though I sacrificed, you know, 3 Marauders and 2 Marines, that is alright, because that is, I traded those army for economic advantage, so that is fine with me as long as I don't trade my whole army for his economy, because then he'll have an army and I won't. Because right now I'm easily able to produce and regain the army that I lost. And sorry guys, I am talking a lot, so I am gonna have to drink some water. My voice is feeling kind of tired. Okay, and he gets a Banshee with cloaks, so I am very worried about this because I was not prepared for this, and right when he sent this, I used all my energy on mules. So immediately I throw down 3 turrets, and yeah, you probably shouldn't do 3 turrets, but I expected him to get more than 1 Banshee, because a lot of times, and right now he has 2. Because most of the time, if you invest that much in getting Banshees, I feel like you would go for more, and he is already out of... and I don't know why I actually just stimmed all my Marauders right there, and this is a terrible position for me to be in. I need to back out. Don't want to have him fight me in the choke, so I am going to load up all my Marauders just to keep them safe. I do not want to lose them. He has 3 Banshees. I am just all producing mass Marines now, but he is going to be able to do a lot of damage. And so this is kind of bad for me. And so I am producing 1 Viking right now, try to do some damage with this. but the Banshees are able to fly away, and especially since he has Cloak, it is going to be very annoying. And I do scan. I should have scanned in the direction that he was moving to further utilize it, but he did get away, and I only had one shot on that Viking. I should lift my command center, but I realized that a lot of times when players are getting very micro heavy, they forget to lift out the command center. I noticed this when I was playing, or not when I was playing, but when I was watching a lot of pro games. I realized a lot of players do this, is that it's just because they're so busy concentrating on their units that they forget to lift their command center. It's a very noob thing, and I do that too sometimes, so I admit I am quite a noob. So anyways, he moves in, he scans, because I've had 3 dropships with 4 Marauders in them each, because I figure this base is lost. I might as well try to do a counter push, maybe take out his economy and try to win this game if I could in this way. It is very tough to tell. He has a tank in his natural, so it is kind of difficult. And I just run right now. I just go straight up run with my units, because I realize that because I run with my SCVs, I lift my command center, because he doesn't really have anti-air, he has Banshees, and the only problem I saw with what I was doing by going for a drop in his base and taking out all his production buildings and everything is that if he were to send those Banshees, he would easily own me, so I was a little worried about those Banshees. But luckily, I still have 2 Vikings kept alive. The only problem would be if he were to scan. If he scanned, I would not be able to do anything about it, because I don't have the, if he scanned, I don't have the command center to, or if he cloaked his Banshees, sorry for that misspeak. I would not be able to scan because my command center is lifted. It does come down now, so, and he is not cloaking his Banshee, so that is a huge mistake on his part. Although I just did land my command center, so if he did want to go for a, if he did plan to cloak, I would be able to scan, and 2 Vikings are good. I noticed he had a Viking at his natural, so I want to send my Vikings in first, and then I will drop my Marauders right onto his tank, and that is it for his base. And I set up my new base near that little, I should float my base to the island expansion, because that is where it will be able to do the most amount of damage. And so he sends in reinforcements. My Marauders one-shot the tanks, and the tanks didn't even explode, they just disappeared. So that is it for this game, I think. He has nothing else. I'm setting up my expansion again. I have medevac, so I could take out his Marauders, and that is it. He leaves. Good game. So thank you everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and more videos are coming up. Thank you.